has gone out to Finance Ministry and Finance Department and NPC to relook at what is happening there. But just on the issue on using Boram Airport as an example, some of these specifically funded projects by our development partners through loan or through grant, they come, although it's procured through our procurement system, they have some element of a process that is involved by the development partner themselves. Whilst advertisement and the selections are being run through, but the criteria are also, the development partners have an element of that must be also embraced by our NPC process. And we, upon arriving on board, we've now sent word to ADB, and we've sent word to all our other development partners that we want to have a unified procurement process that is not, and they're not working in isolation with us, that our selection process is one in as far as procurement of contracts is concerned. Minister Nali did indicate last time that he had to talk to ADB to look at how they making the final choices of contract, and instead of only one named contractor coming through cabinet, then we could have 3 contracts coming to cabinet, contractor's name coming to cabinet, for cabinet to have a look at what is the best contractor we could put. This is a reform that is ongoing. We want to bring NPC up to speed to ensure NPC delivers a procurement system that is efficient, effective, and that is transparent, and the best contractors also emerge. Speaking on the procurement process, but Mr. Speaker, let me assure you that I will give a full report to the Governor on Boram Airport, on what is happening on Boram Airport, and also look into the issue. He made mention on the contractors of the Hawaiian Bridge and other contracts that were issued, to see what is the status of those contracts and where they are today as we speak. Mr. Speaker, it was remiss of me not to pay my congratulations to member for Mosby Northwest. This is his first sitting in Parliament, and on behalf of myself as member for Tari and leader for Pango Party, let me congratulate him of the highest order and welcome him into Parliament. I look forward to working with him, just like many of his colleagues here. We'll work with him to ensure the people of Motuk, Koita, the people of Port Moresby Northwest is represented. God bless.
Governor for Gulf.
Mr. Speaker, asking me not notice. You go along Minister of Oil and Gas. Member of Law, Sinisini Young Honorable Karangakua. Mr. Speaker, asking me also triple time national government ask him na make him provincial government assembly members blow me come lo sign long PASCA agreement. Last time announcement where Prime Minister make him na you may all get a come. Make him online blow me come that's all no got people sign. Half past day. I think I stay na half past day company talk out lo media. Talk out long one pla PRL where award no go and also name them Pandora. Now narapla me talk out I stay long way me talk long how agreement is gone only no one bell. So asking blow me you go lo yourself lo this la company and one kind company. Now M1 bell one time you lo set him this la dates or no got. Na agreement in ready or no got. Na look lo me also me walk him negotiations one time you lo media. Na implications long statements long me down him investor confidence. No nalpa investors me talk government blow you me. You know true, you know talk true, and you mean only no can trust him law, walk him investment. These are implications of statement, I mean serious. Mr. Speaker, Now, me ask him, Minister, President's law COVID times, government, law Marape, Basil, all set in finish. Mark Bristow, Papa, the biggest gold miner in the world. And me come to PNG na sit down. And negotiate one time Prime Minister na cabinet. Lo Pogra. Total, Salim, Vice President Bloy me come, lo time, where fiscal stability agreement, lo Exxon, lo PNG LNG you me sign. This la company, how na, you know Prime Minister, you know, kiss him, boss blow come. Sit down. Now negotiate, now talk through lo PNG. And one time you me sign him this agreement. And number one issue me like racism. Number two, enough you talk out. 1.5 delays is stop, now give him progress report. Long Papua LNG especially. Long SMLI, now you go to development forum. Now enough you give him commitment. For government blow you me. Can finish him, finalize him, not finish him. This is a project before you may go long elections long 2022. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Minister of Petroleum.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before me answering question block, Governor Block Gulf, me too me like extending my congratulations blow me go long. Nupla member blow must be Northwest. Miss Howlem before me come to Parliament time mitla one time Mr. Blow private sector. Nupla good plus strong plus man, good plus professional. Finally make him come to politics. Me plau gotta congratulate him na hamo masimem. One thing me like highlight him lo work problem now em also Motu Koitabu as a district has had very big issues, especially the local people. So that's his challenge now. Now time embrace him. Me like him, we must put him good play here. It's part of our duty and obligation to address him the issues concerning land ownership na kind issues also. So time embrace him this issue. I hope you may all get out both sides of the floor. You may put him good play here or talk blame na you may address him all issues blame. We cannot continue to bury it and kick it down the road forever. Number one. And number two, also you come late through. So one of kind work him need him support, please. Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, Treasurer, National Planning, you put him here support him good. This is a short time through by member. This is a term of Parliament. Okay, you come back long. All strong plug question, Lord Governor, very important questions. Past time, Lord, PASCA gas agreement negotiations. Me like apologize. All the people block Papua New Guinea, all leaders blame me, this is Parliament, now all leaders block Gulf Province. The two time me announce him. Date blow signing blow this like gas agreement na take place. Me like talks away also me no fix him all this la dates. This la dates he come long all advisably me state negotiating team and also one time advice blow twins negotiating team inside the negotiating room. All boom na all yet all fix him date na all talk me also by this day me by inaplo sign him gas agreement. So a number of times me fix him date with the announcement made by the Prime Minister and myself. Me no act in isolation. We were acting on the joint advice of both the Twinja team and the state negotiating team. Now looks like in all those instances I think two time only underestimate him only at na capacity blow liet lo trace him out all get the finer details and then carrying come lo mipla na time mipla political leaders mipla make him announcement mipla make him on a definite platform that when you announce a timeline you keep to the timetable. So we were only acting on advice. Now, one unique feature of this particular Pascal negotiations, Mr. Speaker, I like point him out. This is one of the project negotiations where MIPLA allowing state agencies through the state negotiating team law take absolute total control. MIPLA politicians such as me also minister na, Bosplo MIPLA ministers, prime minister. Now, all our politicians MIPLA stay out of the negotiating room. All we do is we encourage and both sides set out the parameters that Larimol go negotiating. So that's been the case all the way up to this point in time, and it won't change. Because plenty time people are in criticism when this process is not respected and followed through. So it will always be the state negotiating team at the front table, plus the Twinja as a developer, and they will talk it through themselves until finally, all fighting mama na talk, we got an agreement. Then MIPLA by stepping and by MIPLA sign and MIPLA working more good talk that needs to be made, MIPLA by working this time. So me talk sorry lo this la same timetable or giving MIPLA no na MIPLA announcing MIPLA no meeting MIPLA no meeting narpla long status flow negotiations. Negotiation reaching one point where, firstly, all fixing what should be the total state take, all fixing pennies. That's the core part of the negotiations. And for those of us involved in that process, MIPLA Amamas pennies law state take, what the state should take out of this project during its lifetime. However, from that moment, that the details in the negotiations then moves into the ancillary details. Ancillary details. Now, that's where the lawyers become involved. They write up the full scope of the agreement, draft agreement, and then all by Salim Goy come and they do what's called a page turn. All time each page one at a time now, all by agree, all get the paragraphs, now pages, and settle the whole document. So last Friday, that's all. Government side, state negotiating team only kisim agreement about a week and a bit earlier. Na inside law yet, all consult him Governor Blo Bank of Papua New Guinea, Commissioner Blo Internal Revenue Commission, now advice Blo Secretary Blo Treasury, all these like leader man, head man, advisors to the government usati by look from their own individual departments. Rules and criteria only take him a week. Law analyze him separately. Now all Salim individual advices blowly go back and law state solicitor. State solicitor and look him all get a dislapinis now and build him where appropriate. Comments blowly go inside law gets agreement. Now Friday this la draft agreement me apply giving me go law Twinja team. So MIPLA been expecting, Mr. Speaker, law, all by sitting down na look good, law this agreement na, all by come back in law state negotiating team. Now by talk this MIPLA agree, this MIPLA no agree, na you mean need law look. Again, remember, most of these are details that are ancillary to the core agreement about state take. That part, no dispute. But when it comes to those details, yeah, law Friday only kiss him, first thing all walk him, which I think is currently passing. All go straight to media. All you know, go back to chairman to state SNT na to yes, MIPLA kisim agreement na. This much MIPLA agree na. This bits MIPLA no agree. Can we talk again on the disagreed parts of it? That is the best way to approach it. Instead, all you go to media. Now, all bagrapim name lo SNT, all senior public servants bloomy, all bagrapim name lo. Me or Bagrabi Nemblo, or Barabi Nemblo minister, or Labim Nemblo prime minister, or like creating one black and divide and rule scenario. Now, prime minister look him now. First thing in the morning, 7 o'clock, prime minister WhatsApp him, I'm selling newspaper clipping here, come now talk, me no maslo disla. Can you get straight into it and deal with it? And tell them to stop coming into the media all that time. And talk all same. So that's exactly what I did, Mr. Speaker. I WhatsApp the CEO of the company, Twinja, me talking about passing the media must stop. This all negotiations, we expect both sides to have disagreements. When they arise, you bring it back to the conference room, you talk. Because some of these things are public, need lo details, agree, disagree, walking go, finally, but you agree. Also, need lo you come no media, me talk also. And then me working one plan later too also on the Prime Minister's request. Working one plan later, by me Salim Golol. I think today by me signing Salim Golol. Again, encouraging them to move away from the media. However, as they can, at the PM's request, me plan meet 7 o'clock as the night. One time state negotiating team, where State Solicitor General Rolpa Guerrero was present. And the State Solicitor proposed that, in addition to the letter, he will prepare a confidentiality and non-disclosure agreement that must be signed between Twinja and the state so that people don't run to the media while negotiation is in progress. Once we have a final product now, that's when announcements will be made. So State Solicitor is preparing that confidentiality and non-disclosure agreement to be signed as the negotiation picks up again. However, having said that, to give context to things, Mr. Speaker, negotiation is planned in Pinis. And as I said, the core basis of the agreements, we agree Pinis. What is in dispute is the ancillary bits and pieces. That shouldn't really be a deal breaker. But since all expressing contrary view, Mipla talk, look, someday, somewhere down the track, you got to say enough is enough. And put it to an end, because otherwise it will carry on forever, and all by pulling all same rubber band until Rabbi Brook. So Mipla give all 6 days for them to get into serious discussion, SNT na Twinja. By the 16th of August, 7 days here by Peninsula, I think 16th of August. By the 16th of August, they must make some meaningful progress. If they don't, then state does have alternative options. If they don't cooperate, you may not get malo tumas all the time. Some of the time you may must stand up strong. Stand up strong now talk, look, Mipla cooperate good, but you take us for granted. Now you pulling Mipla go inside the bus. Some of the time Mipla must pull back now talk enough now. So after the 16th, by Mipla state government side by reconsidering whether we should continue with this negotiation or we suspend it or we terminate it. Whatever we do, we consider it at that point in time. So we have to be firm about this sort of negotiations, because if we don't, we'll be taken for a ride forever. So that's where we are on the Wanemia. So I hope that within the remaining days they have a meaningful discussion. Lo Pandora, me like make him clear lo leaders lo this la parliament. Also, the negotiation underway is in respect of a license area called Pasca. Pandora Narpla license before Narpla line olim. Yeah, Narpla line olim license of a Pandora, but license all expire. Now no got one plaman olim license of a Pandora. Pandora now is a plan block government of Papua New Guinea. Now plan man all apply. Now it must go through separate statutory process through the Department of Petroleum. Separate license, separate tenement, and by go through separate process completely. What Twinja want is, and they have some valid reason, I won't badmouth them. They say, if you give us license to both Pasca and Pandora together, by Mipla aggregating, now we'll create bigger volumes and bigger revenue and bigger business for all of us. That does have merits. However, whether that should happen or not has to be decided by an independent process. We cannot bring Pandora come inside, na deal one time together, one time Pasca. Pandora must go through separate process. So whatever the Petroleum Advisory Board will recommend, me also minister, and whichever way I go, there's still an opportunity for Twinja to come in. Suppose all talk, Petroleum Advisory talk, Twinja kiss him, all by kiss him. But also give him NARPLA applicant. NARPLA applicant here kiss him, all two by inviting Twinja come inside too. So whichever way, Twinja by that role of play. All of those people who are seriously interested can have a role to play. And we will facilitate that. But the mistake we will make is Burgim law blow you carry negotiation law. When we are negotiating one license to bring another license to come inside na boom all one time. That by Burgim law blow so you keep them all separate and apart. So Pandora is still pending. We haven't decided. Let's finish past time. Okay, Ikamlo Papua. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to say that Vice President Blow, Total Energies, and he coming from Singapore, despite all the COVID restrictions and all this, this investment in the Papua gas project is serious enough to warrant the Vice President on the global business, Asia Pacific, Lokami Astena, and meet one them. Prime Minister and giving me assurance also. They've already started work on the pre-feed FEED process, work start finish. And once they conclude this by the end of this year, actual feed design process FEED, and by start law towards the end of this year, October, November. And that will take another 12 months or so to complete it. It will take up 2022. And by 2023, all by in a position to go into final investment decision. At that point in time, once they cross that line and secure financing, all that, construction by begin. 2023 going forward. So they are putting it on a forced march, Mr. Speaker. They gave us the assurance. I met again with them this morning too. And they gave me the assurance, the continued assurance that this is a project, Mr. Priority list, all by pushing all the way. Now, to deal with that, to reach the development forum stage, before we come to the development forum stage where you meeting one time all people block Gulf province, na Gulf government, you must complete what they call social mapping, landowner identification, and all this people must complete him. This is a process, big problem work and finish. Big, through you, Mr. Speaker, Governor Block Gulf, that big problem this work and finish people are ready, finalize him, but he got court injunction, sit down and stop. Court injunction stopping people, can go continue with this SMLI, lobby, all call him, landowner identification, social mapping, all this, all stop him. One time court order. So, MIPLA, through my department, MIPLA file him application, finish, rouse him this injunction because it's been sitting there for several months now. MIPLA file him application, tomorrow National Court by hearing application from MIPLA, whether injunction by continue or all by rouse him. So tomorrow National Court hearing this application, suppose MIPLA successful, Mr. Speaker, all this process that me talk here, that condition precedent to a development forum happening, like the low bid study, landowner identification, social mapping, all these things will be finalized. And as we're going through feed states, we will also reach the development forum, Mr. Speaker. And that process will definitely take place. So we are finally on track for Papua to proceed with all guns blazing, Mr. Speaker. So MTASOLA, I think, update. And what I will also do finally is that because all these projects that are under my ministry are important, me preparing one ministerial statement to be delivered to this parliament after cabinet approving. So that's finalized. I'll take it through to cabinet and later on in this week or next week, I think next week, by me delivering one ministerial statement or briefing parliament on the status of each and every project that's important to this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All our honorable members, we must inform in Parliament also to you got all representative local level government, na community long Egyptary, northern provincial staff to the public arena. We have the parliament, national parliament, me extend a warm welcoming to you. Supplementary. You may get supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mila asking Minister of Petroleum Tasorosam. Location of Twinsa. Last time Minister only like Simsla production. Only apply lo disla. Lo developing Twinsa gas project. Yeah. But only base that only base lo one blood drill tasol. But in like heights now, Papua LNG, you have to do more than one drill to certify the reserves. Now, after you certify reserves now, then you will come up with every reserves like Lo heights all base lo 7 TCF. Now Lo Papua all base lo 6.8 TCF. Lo work about revenue na expenditure na ogara, it will based on the total TCF lo gas na oil stop inside liters of oil stop inside lo ground. Now one of me asking Minister, one of figure through. Now you want the SNT online, it work lo using because only drilling one blood drill tasol. Now I mean on naplo so how much oil na gas is stop inside. You must do more than one drill in order to quantify the reserves. So me been refusing this on the ground that they have to do more than almost go drilling two more drills or something like this law, quantifying reserve. You mean how much was only working law solwara? But emotions are different from realities, huh? So me ask him a question. What figures are you using? Or one reserve figures are you using or SNT is using to calculate all revenue by mixing, calculate all expenditure now, how much money by goal or landowners? Because everything must be based on the reserves. So I'm one figure utilization or time you finish only one or two more drills law quantifying reserves or not. First question. Second question also. Last time only put him lo paper or some all I salim this la. Only ask him Golden Sachs law, New York law salim. Just like oil or gas fields, yeah? Emol Twincha, yeah? That is part of the reason why you may stop because of the fact that you mean enough salary. I mean, we will not give them the license for them to make money. All must devolve them. So 1 plus enemy find them, they don't have the capital to devolve it. In the agreement now, finance will all right, lowly devolve all by current partnership, or all by Salim. And very important because no good you may give him more license now only Salim. And then we face these problems again now. So number 3 I'm also this law reserves here. And you like calculate him good or some there's enough in there for us to go into production or no got because it's based on one drill. Now one blood drill like last time you talk all reach him only strike him gold, but gold you don't strike it by one drill, you saw it. You have to do enough drills. Law you mean by calculate how much reserves. So this is very important law country. Now tell them Mosem, Mila asking Minister, please, no can work in Mosem because future no all money drilling one block well now only ask him a license, huh? And then we have already set up precedents. And that will be very bad for this country.
You may get one point of order. Honorable Minister, one point of order.
To interrupt the question, as we're approaching the 1 minute, Speaker, I just want to move a motion that we extend question time. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, you get time, Mr. Abed. I am finished, Minister, and I would really like Salam can ask him this plan to extend him time.
Again, awesome. You mean no can set one of the best precedents inside the country.
lo any oil or gas company become drilling one well na try like try some production license this la by said bed presence na and by beyond all to gas you blow finish. So are you sure that we have drilled enough holes to make sure that the data and the quantity and the reserves are enough for us to give them the production license? Now, no go salim na you by too late. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. All good luck questions. So before me answering, me ask him leave to extend question time.
Leave granted.
Thank you. Now, me go long question law.
Minister.
I move that question time be extended.
The question is that the question time be extended. Would those in favor say aye? Aye. Those against say no? Okay, you miss an up past them. Now you may look him. Absolute majority, like him, question time is extended. Question time is extended. So.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The two-part question that Member Blow North Waghi raised him, all good questions because they are directed at managing our risks when you move out into this sort of business that government and regulate him. So all good question. Mr. Speaker, me understand also. Last year I asked him same question and me and him finish. In order for me answer him keno. Okay, by me answer him. Number one, correct lot talk, he got one plat drill tassel. He got more than one drill.
Honorable Minister, you look also planning member only like ask him nice stuff. So you may extend, but suppose you can answer him in brief, now you can provide him answer lo paper or some colon behind.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, let me sort him straight. Yeah, all working more than one drill. But me like point him out, make him very clear that even one plat drill discovering triplat commercial reserve, you can proceed to development stage without putting the second drill in. So no got one plat law stop him, talk you got to do more than one drill. Just depends on the volume discovered. Volume you may talk here and 400 billion cubic feet. I mean, Aplo working on legal projects, so I'll go ahead now. Number two, whether Twinjai got money or no got money, finance him 100%. Plenty of these projects, developer knows our finance him 100%. Also go out now, ask him ARPLA investors come in, buy him some like within, I'll buy working mountain. Spread him risks, same normal. Like PNG, LNG, Papua LNG, all get this joint venture. So, all I need Twinja, they might not have the capital to do it all by themselves. I'll ask him companies like Kumul Petroleum, MRDC, and all our ARPLA investors will come in. Now you can invest one time. They'll share him risk, share the profits together. So I'm normal inside law. This is like in business. And that's all, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member Polye Kandep.
Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, and through you, I seek the indulgence of the Prime Minister to ask a question on Bougainville. Bougainville, Mr. Speaker, is very important agenda, one of the most important agendas in Papua New Guinea. Bougainville is an autonomous region of Papua New Guinea. It's not a country. It's a region of Papua New Guinea. It's an autonomous region. And I think this Parliament and the people of this country should comment fast the governments who worked very prudently, carefully in addressing the Bougainville issue before the referendum that took place. And now that we have had the referendum already accomplished, the job is even more careful. It is very sensitive, it's delicate, and this Parliament and Papua New Guinea should put a complete trust in the Prime Minister the Honorable James Marape and his government to addressing it. And we have this confidence that those issues have been addressed very recently up there in Wabek. The interest of Bougainville and Papua New Guinea are multifaceted, and we have the confidence that it is the intention of the Prime Minister to telling this House so that the representatives can tell the people of Papua New Guinea as to what was the focus, what has been the outcome of the Bougainville we have had in Wabek very recently. It's very important that the Parliament continues to understand the proceedings that come out of such meetings, so we are guided. The Parliament guides through the executive government to arriving at that particular conclusion in a very amicable manner. At the moment, we still believe that Bougainville is part of Papua New Guinea, and it's an autonomous region. The question is, when we come to that voting on the floor of Parliament by this House, how will it, what trend, what focus will we take? Prime Minister, the ball is in your courts now, and we have full confidence and trust in you that what has come out from Wabek, I think it is, I'm sure it is your intention that you would like to inform the nation as to what's the progress. And let me also, at this juncture, commend the governor for Enga province and the leaders of Enga and the people of Enga that at that time I was there myself when the meeting took place, that we hosted that meeting, the governor, he put us and his people in the provincial assembly was hosting a very good meeting, and we commend the president of Bougainville for also and the people and his government team for blessing us there. But Prime Minister, please inform the House as to the outcome of the meeting. Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me thank the member for Kandep for asking this question. It is a very, very important question. In fact, there can be no greater issue facing our government or facing our country when one part of our country decides or has decided to break away and be an independent nation. And so this is a very important issue. In fact, I rank this challenge the greatest challenge over COVID-19, over economy and many other challenges that we're facing today. The sanctity of our union as one country is very, very important. And let me answer briefly this question, but let me assure our Parliament and our people of this country, next week, this time next week, on Wednesday, I will be delivering a parliamentary statement on what has transpired in as far as our discussions in Wabek, following on from our discussions that was held in Kokopo. But just to refresh the country's mind and all our mind, conversations that are flowing on from the referendum that took place in 2019 is a product of the 2001 Bougainville Peace Agreement. In fact, it should be called Papua New Guinea Peace Agreement because at the time the stress was between us and rest of PNG and the issues that were on the ground in Bougainville. But nonetheless, it is now commonly known the Bougainville Peace Agreement. Law 2001, then underneath law leadership, law Prime Minister, law this time, the Right Honorable Sir Mekere Morata, both sides, Bougainville, Papua New Guinea, Imitok, Lusim Gan, and let's go through a peace process. And so this law 2001 peace agreement, you may sign it. Inside law this law talk long 2001 peace agreement, and plenty you may staff member of this law time. I think today law this law Parliament, only Honorable Michael Nally, Honorable Sir John Pundari, Right Honorable Sir Julius, I beg your pardon, Sir Julius was not in Parliament at the time, but there were only a few who were in Parliament at the time. They will recall what took place then. But this peace agreement, let me talk. Like a 3 plus something will come up in a 20-year period going forward from 2001, coming up along 2020, 2021. Number one, talk. Peace, returning Mogaragan. Number 2, talk. Only must get full autonomy arrangement. Now, number 3, talk. Anywhere in between this period, must get referendum, law, political future of Bougainville. and one bla big bla head tok only sanabim lo 2001. Now long outside lo kisim ting long political settlement or political feature lo Bougainville. I only talk masikat referendum. Now referendum, one bla question lo referendum, I must question long whether Oliver kisim independent or no got. And so from 2001, me no come up member yet. Lanti lo yimi, no come up member yet. And this is a process Irani come. By 2019, you may come the last year, the referendum. This parliament, or our government for that matter, had little choice but to deal with the issue of referendum because key requirement long 2001 peace agreement. And so, long 2019, you may let referendum lo go ahead. And I need long referendum, only vote, even got two choice, whether you give him independent or whether you like him long greater autonomy. Lord, this choice, you may clear finish, United Nations, observers, and through the democratic process, all people of Bougainville go along vote, and 97.7% only vote long, only must come up independent. Now the problem is this: Constitution me no got provision long independent. It come up long one part lo country me. But Lobiani mas ting long 2001 peace agreement is la process Iran na me looks out long Hamas la government he come na go. Hamas la ministers come na go, he walk lo this walk lo Bougainville. I mean sensitive issue and each and every one of them handle it with due care coming up lo timely me. And after referendum and to the wisdom, and I pay commendation and homage to those who authored the 2001 peace agreement. Only talk. The result, whatever the outcome of the referendum is, it will be ratified in Parliament, National Parliament. All Bougainville too, only clearly this plan, and me talk thank you all leaders of Bougainville too. At the time, all agree or same. National Parliament, Papua New Guinea, the final resting place long deal want them display issue long Bougainville. And me like talk clearly Parliament today that in my duty as Minister responsible for Bougainville affairs in the last few meetings that Mipla held him, as well as the entire cabinet and under government lo Mipla maintaining spirit long 2001 peace agreement, but Mipla handling this law under diligence. And coming up long meeting long Wabek, for the first time since 2001, there was recognition on both sides, clearly with undisputed fact, that there is a silence in the constitution long independence of Bougainville. In fact, there is no provision for independence. And Parliament is the place, if we were to progress independence of Bougainville, then the matters have to be addressed in National Parliament. There were no total clarity except the use of the line. It must be ratified by National Parliament, the result must be ratified. But long Wabek consultation, Miplay advancing this course going to clarity that National Parliament now must get involved long deal one time all these matters in a constitutional manner. Bougainvilleans have a view that ratification will result in meaning that Parliament become affirming what took place in as far as the referendum result was concerned, Mr. Speaker. But me talk thank you to Bougainvilleans, also the leaders who came to Wabek, for them to fully understand, as me clearly stating law, that me as Prime Minister, me no got one man right. Long talk, you can kiss him independent. No individual citizen in our country can tell you kiss him independent. It must come through a constitutional process, where he's supposed, through a constitutional amendment, me affirming result long vote, na like Bougainville, na Parliament, he took him right. Me all vote finish, so me made him constitutional, let him only go, me go. But me make him clear talk. Me must secure him rest of our country past them. No can one play talk, or like referendum too na. Beyond ball ting long independent. Constitution, allow him this, but you must make him absolute clarity that this were only exceptional circumstance to Bougainville and Bougainville, rest of our country must not advocate. You can talk about autonomy functionally, but you must not talk about autonomy and associate with independence. So we talk, it's simple work. We must clear him 5%, and we must secure him rest of our country pastor. As we also clear him legal pathways for necessary amendments to take place, and Parliament, the full authority of Parliament will decide the future political settlement of Bougainville in respect to the choice they've made, but this Parliament has the final say. So, Mr. Speaker, I will give a parliamentary statement on this next week, clarifying what did take place in Kokopo. Me clarifying or plenty talk me talk Kokopo too. Me also clarifying when I went to Arawa to receive the referendum result, I did made a statement. Me kisim the result also member of Lotari, na me no kisim result also Prime Minister of the country, although me holding this office one time. Meaning that I place at that point that Parliament has the final say and not one member or not one Prime Minister or not one minister for that matter. It's an important delegate issue, and as I speak on this, me like appeal on the rest of our country. Me like appeal on this Parliament too. And the next Parliament will come because we've now set out a 5-year work program. When we met in Kokopo, the consultation is also allowed for by the 2001 peace agreement. Let me talk. After all vote, by get consultation on them both sides. So we're now going through that consultation phase between all Namipla on their issues and our issues. And this consultation phase will be run. They wanted to stop the consultation in 2022 and independence in 2022, as they proposed in our Kokopo first consultation, but we asked for a second consultation. And don't ask me why some of these decisions have been made, but this is a sensitive issue. We have to treat it very, very diligently. You and me are not in Bougainville all the time. You and me do not understand the sensitivities on the ground in Bougainville all the time. The issues, and some of the issues predates, in fact, the crisis issue. They've gone through the crisis, lost over many lives. The issues are far different than many of us have in our country. And I appeal to this House. Due care and a sense of responsibility over Bougainville must always remain true. They have absolutely voted for independence. Our constitution doesn't allow for independence, but they've agreed in Wabek now that due process must flow in terms of national consultation. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I put to them, the borders of this country was secured through national consultation prior to independence, and the constitution defines the borders of our country. The same process must be involved if we are to unbundle what is the present border we have. And so, Mr. Speaker, I would like to clear the House. For the first time, we have clarity. They understand that constitution will be amended if they were to get independence. Consultation must be made again with the rest of our country if they are to get independence. And it will not come by just Parliament picking up the result and going in and discussing on it. It will come through a due process. And we've started to outlay the process in 2022, 2023, 2024. Parliament will look into this. Consultation will be made with the rest of our country. And if Parliament, this Parliament or next Parliament, in fact, they've asked for the 11th Parliament to deal with this matter. And they've asked for 2027 to be the deadline. I said, all right, we'll work it through this process and see how Parliament has a handle on these issues in the 11th Parliament. So, Mr. Speaker, let me assure everyone, we have not agreed for the independence by 2027. We've established a process. Their result in as far as Bougainville's autonomous government and President Toroma said their result by 2027 must be political independence. We put by 2027, we will determine the political future of Bougainville. There are two different words and meanings. And so this is an issue that we need to handle with due care. My government is giving our utmost best to handle this issue with due care. But in the meantime, I ask each and every one of us to step up on both sides in a bipartisan approach, in whatever capacity we can, support Bougainville fully, assist, rebuild Bougainville. We've made additional commitments. On top of the commitment, and I remember very clearly in 2010 JSP meeting, at the time the treasurer then, the Honorable Member for Yalu Pangia now, he was able to commit 100 million kina a year to them and informed the acting Prime Minister then to make the commitment. We're revisiting all the commitments we've made with Bougainville. Outstanding commitments we're starting to honor all of them now. And on our own government, we've made a 100 million commitment to Bougainville every year, starting 2020. And we've given this money starting 2020 into 2029. Independence or not, Bougainville is our responsibility. They are carrying the legacy of some of the public policies that we've inherited, and we're trying to change now for the better, so that no landowners in our country are left behind, no provincial governments in our country are left behind, but we all are working through, and national government comes down and work with them at that level or on that par as a result of the experience that we've learned in Bougainville. So, Mr. Speaker, in response to the question that a good member for Kandep put, and I thank him for this question because Bougainville is important. They voted for independence. We are treating this with sensitivity and due care. And the process that will be invoked in 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, and 2026 that we've now clearly outlaid, which I will inform the Parliament in next week, will then process the future of Bougainville, and Parliament will be the place in which these discussions and these deliberations are made. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We have a supplementary.
My supplementary is this to the Honorable Prime Minister. There is, Mr. Prime Minister, a cabinet-approved structure for consultation. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, the way the so-called consultations are taking place is not the way through the JSB process. There is a misunderstanding on the part of the Prime Minister and his team on using the JSB as the consultation process. That is not the process. The process is that there should be and cabinet approved a group to go around the country consistent with the understanding of the lack of provision in the Constitution. That there must be that consultation going on in every province on the mainland. The two executive governments cannot make the decisions. The two executive governments cannot manage the process. It has to be outside of that. So, Prime Minister, please, can you correct this? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the member for Abau for his counsels. And let me inform this House, and he's correct, the JSB process is different from the consultation process. What we staged in Wabek was joint JSB that took place earlier and consultation that took place after. So, Mr. Speaker, let me inform this House, we're not illiterate in the process. We're very much literate in the process, but in the interest of cost saving, time management, and we're starting the process of consultation now. We have successfully secured now that the process of consultation will run its course. It was diligent. It was not easy. They came to the table with all arsenals firing for independence ASAP. And these meetings were running concurrently or back to back. JSB took place and then consultation. And in the Wabek meeting, the clarity was made, and we will now allow for consultation to run its course on its own at its speed, consistent with the timetables we've established. So let me inform our senior there that we're very mindful of what is consultation and the difference between consultation and JSB. And we were running them side by side. It wasn't one meeting being run up there in Wabek, neither was it one meeting in Kokopo. Thank you.
The Honorable Opposition Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My questions without notice are directed to the Prime Minister. But before I do that, Mr. Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of my family and the people of Animal Green River electorate and the opposition to congratulate the newly elected member for Mosby Northwest, the Honorable Lawyer Boy Samuel. Congratulations. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I would like to make a very interesting observation in this Parliament. that we have decided to build cubicles for ourselves in Parliament. It's very interesting to see. I hope we have done the same thing to improve health facilities and put latest state-of-the-art equipment and medicine and beds in our hospitals throughout the country. I hope we have done the same thing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my questions without notice are based or related to COVID-19 vaccination rollout throughout the country. We are told that some 200 different vaccines were being rushed to production in response to the global COVID-19 pandemic. About 50 of these vaccines have undergone trials, and only a handful have now been approved for distribution among the populations throughout the world. These vaccines are made in many different ways to trigger different responses by the immune system on the human body to contain the COVID-19 virus. At this point, we do not know which is the best for our people. Mr. Speaker, today we have AstraZeneca, made in England, Chinese-made Sinopharm, and the latest is the United States Johnson & Johnson's vaccine. I do not know how many others are in our country. Each pharmaceutical company and each country is racing to get its vaccine rolled out in the world. Even companies, Mr. Speaker, in this country seem to be marketing vaccines through promotions and competitions rather than getting health outcomes from our people. Some companies are refusing unvaccinated staff on company transport or access to discounts or even giving them company loans. Others are making it conditional that only vaccinated patients or persons will be employed, forcing those who do not want to get vaccination to get it against their will or face job loss. Mr. Speaker, with a nationwide rollout of vaccination in the country, the government must answer some very important questions so our people can be aware of the government's position on the vaccination rollout. My questions, therefore, are these. Number one, has the government approved one vaccine or a number of vaccines for Papua New Guineans who wish to be vaccinated? Are we accepting every vaccine, or are we accepting every vaccine that hits this country like we always do with other products? If we have chosen one or two vaccines, what are the reasons for our specific choice of vaccines or vaccine? Number two, have there been any tests carried out on approved vaccines to see which is acceptable to our people living in our social and climatic conditions? Number three, can a person vaccinated by one type of vaccine safely get his or her second and third dose from another type of vaccine? How do we know that it is safe? Because each vaccine is made differently. Number four, Mr. Speaker, what is your government's stance on COVID-19 vaccination? Is it compulsory or voluntary? If it's compulsory or if it's voluntary, then why are some private companies now making vaccination compulsory and making it a precondition for continuing employment for our citizens? Number six, Mr. Speaker, is your government aware that some companies are even offering competitions and prizes for vaccination? One company is even advertising that you pay $100 kina bill, get vaccinated, and there will be a vehicle that you can win from the draw. Mr. Speaker, if your government has made a position that vaccination is voluntary, then what are the penalties for the companies forcing our citizens to undergo vaccination under threat? Many employees are being forced under duress to take vaccination, and if some may not take it, they will lose their jobs automatically or get sacked from their employment. Mr. Speaker, are we going to sit back and allow these companies to suppress, intimidate, and discriminate our citizens? What is the government's position on vaccination in our country? And Mr. Speaker, are these provisions of vaccination rollout in our Pandemic Act? If it is not, then why are private companies making it mandatory for our citizens? This is a direct breach of human rights in our Constitution, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we must always remember the oath we took when we took office as members of Parliament. We swore an oath to serve our God, our Queen, our people, and our country. It is our duty to protect our citizens. Our primary duty here as members of Parliament is to live by the oath that we took. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Prime Minister.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me say thank you for the opposition leader for asking these questions on COVID-19 and vaccines. And firstly, let me put a disclaimer. I'm not a medical doctor to answer him correctly to the details that he wants. But we will get our National Control Center and the Health Department to make an appropriate response, especially in the details of what vaccines we already have in our country, what vaccines are being approved to be rolled out. And as far as I know of, there's only 3 or 4 vaccines that the WHO has certified and sanctioned are being allowed to come into our country to be used. AstraZeneca vaccine, the first one that came into our country, and then the Pfizer vaccine, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and the Chinese vaccine. So in my knowledge, 4 were approved. And Mr. Speaker, me like talk clear log that line. Me controller David Mannings are working lo like blocken long National Control Center. No got. Long National Control Center, you maybe the first country and possibly the only country that is passing the Pandemic Act, ensuring that we have a synchronized address to the COVID-19. Time COVID-19 come up long, late December of 2019, none of us knew what COVID-19 was. When the whole world was scrambling to have individual national address and response to COVID-19, we too had to do an absolute best. And Mr. Speaker, some you may talk people are playing politics, but lifelong old people are at risk. It really saddens me that the opposition leader could demean and question the health of members of Parliament when we're doing the best of our ability to construct Parliament to operate in a safe manner.
We have a point of order, Honorable Opposition Leader. What's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I never demean the health of the members of Parliament. I'm only saying that if we have built corridors around ourselves, if we build proper hospitals,